Okay, so here's the build. Do a quick video overview of how this works. I'll do a quick overview of how I actually put the walls together, and then also a couple of videos of some testing, all that kind of stuff. Of course, one of the unfortunate things is because I've run this, so then I was at work all day, and then I had some internet issues after I came home. I haven't been able to progress my story at all, and so I can't actually run another test here. You'll see the way that I run a test is actually just come in, and then I would make sure this is unchecked and just click expand shield, which would start the husk spawning. And since I don't have since I'm not at a point where I can run another one of these shields, I can't run it again. But then in order to cancel it, so once it was up and running, I'd just kind of watch the mob move, watch the husk movement, see how they were moving, and then once the storm shield had taken an amount of damage, I just come up here into the escape menu and just click leave with party, and that would stop the whole thing and reset, and then give me a chance to restart. Of course, the other thing that was odd that happened is the very first time I ran the test, a bunch of husks came down the south side, and so they were spilling over the side and completely avoiding the initial test stuff that I'd built up. But the purpose was one, to dump materials, because I was sitting at the materials cap as I was going out and doing other missions in order to gather rain, and I also wanted to see if how much I could redirect them, or if I could redirect them into a little bit of a zigzag and get a couple extra squares. So you'll see in this example, you'll see some of my early work. I just have straight tunnels, so in this case, if this would have been a straight tunnel, it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4. But by having them move over to the side, I'm adding 3 more. So now I've gone from a 4 square kill tunnel to a 7 square kill tunnel, which is a pretty significant increase, almost 100%, right? I guess it's technically 75%. So anyway, then we know on this map that the mobs spawn pretty directionally, right out east. They spawn to the north, and then they'll spawn to the west when they pop up. And so my goal was to see whether or not I could get them whenever they spawn. And north is a great example. Whoops, north is a great example. They'll kind of spawn all along those cliffs, along those ledges there. And could I get them all to actually approach? Because they want to go for the base, so obviously they're going to end up at a single point. But could I get them all to approach a single point here and enter a kill tunnel? Now. So I just started building up and decided that I wanted to see how much of a deterrent I could build up to get them to actually follow that path. I had been doing testing using single walls, like so single wood, single stone, single metal, and that didn't quite work. The other thing you'll notice is at the end of the kill tunnel, it's completely open. I don't even have a wall here at all. Well, I actually do have a wall, but it's an opening, and that's just to make sure that the husks see this as the path of least resistance, because there's been other evidence out there that shows that husks do not consider traps as a deterrent, right? So they'll actually calculate this as a clear path. So I want them to consider this right here a clear path, completely clear. So then anyway, I started building up, and because the tunnels, in order to work well, need a roof, which incidentally makes a nice place to snipe from, because then you're on top of where you want the mobs to approach anyway. So as I was doing missions, etc., I realized that this is a good place to snipe from. So if they do notice you, they will end up moving into the tunnel to get to you, because you're on top of the tunnel itself. Alright, and then the other thing that's convenient about this particular style build, so as I'm basically putting 4 things together, right? So I've got a wall, there's a half floor ramp, and then another wall in the back. So it's 4 objects kind of jammed together in a single square. Is at the ramp, and you'll notice that they're oriented so that the ramp is going up outwards. Also makes an easy way to get on top of the kill tunnel, so I can move around, all that kind of stuff. And of course, I put some jump pads so I can get around the base. Yeah! All right. So I can't show this one in action, so let's pop back over to the other map, and I'll at least do a couple sample builds, because that one's pretty much shot at this point, and I'm still experimenting over here. Here we are in my original base. You see I've got the boosters kind of protected with the generic pyramid design, because that was sort of what I had been told at the time. And in this particular spawn, this is a good example of some of my early experimenting. This amplifier A, the mobs actually spawn down there on the cliffs, and so I wanted to redirect them because there's a ramp right here, and then there's a ramp right over there, and I wanted to actually have them come up here and move towards a single point of entry, so get them all to congregate onto a single point and then move into this kill tunnel. So at first I just had put up some low walls. Part of the thinking there was to, that I wanted to be able to watch them. I knew that if I got too close, they would actually affect them. Plus, if things were going bad, then I can always shoot over the wall if it's low enough. And so, initially, a single wall wasn't working great, and this is part of the reason that I've got the theory that there must be an amount of hit points in the wall package, in the wall sandwich that deters them. And so, eventually, then I just started adding more short walls to kind of keep adding up how much of a deterrent. And sure enough, one wall wasn't enough, and this was also before I could upgrade too. But as I added more of these short walls, then they did actually consistently start moving towards the tunnel. Of course, the other thing that I didn't realize at the time is that the wall size makes a difference. So you notice here, this is a one high wall. It's 225. If I take that up to 2 high, it's 320 versus the original wall, which is 225. And if I take that all the way up to a full wall, it's 420 versus 225. So that also makes a big difference, which of course I realized later on. Anyway, here's one of the original kill tunnel designs. I really like the spikes on the floor because they slow a little bit, and they have a very, very high uptime because they got a low cooldown and all that. And then I also really like gas traps. The other reason, of course, is those are the ones that I've got. Right, I don't exactly have a lot of trap options, and these I guess in some sense I got lucky because the ones that I got I actually really like. Gas as well. It's got a pretty low cooldown and the uptime is pretty high. So they're once they enter the tunnel, they're basically constantly taking damage. Here's I'm not sure how well this works, but I was experimenting with a push trap that pushes them into one of these spike walls. Kind of seems to work. Seems like they move really slow once they're over here and moving on. You also notice that unlike the Plankerton base, this is still closed off. So there is, in their calculation for how am I going to get to the base, it seems like there's like this right here is a much higher cost path, which may also be why the single wall over there didn't really have much of an effect. Okay, so let's go look at how we actually build this stuff. Here's where I'm going to build up. Just some examples. You see I was doing some experiments up there as well. Some of the ones that I took pictures of. I'm just going to do this whole thing in wood because wood is fairly easy to gather, but the reality is, and upgraded woods, a triple upgraded wood is actually a pretty good resource. It's got a decent amount of health. I've been told and watched some videos that show that later on the creatures will eventually get elemental effects which affect different materials, building materials differently. But of course my goal is to have them never really touch the walls to be anyway, right? So I don't want them touching them. So I'm not sure that would really matter. So it may be that just building them completely out of metal is the best approach. I don't know. I'm still experimenting with it. But in any case, so they start with full walls, and then I'll pretend I'll put a kill tunnel in the middle here, so I'll build a gateway or an archway, build a couple of those. You do need archways, one, because they need to support the roof for the tunnel, and then two, because, at least in my case, I'm a constructor, and so when I put the base down, the base actually links through connected walls. So if I don't have an archway, sometimes the base doesn't link to its full distance. All right, so next up is the floor. Hold on, let me put in some sidewalls real quick. And I actually like 2 high walls on these, just because it adds a little more health, and so a little more of a deterrent. Again, if my theory is correct. And you can still jump over them. You just can't shoot through them unless it's a triple upgraded stone wall, or a double upgraded stone wall. And then come around over here. So this is how you do the floor. Basically take 2 out when you're editing it, and that'll create this the railing on the floor. Then I go to a pyramid. You could use stairs. I personally really like the the pyramid ramp. And the reason for that is, let me show you real quick. The reason for that is if I add another wall here and I'm doing a corner, I can actually have it by raising another one. So you see it's this, whoops. And by editing that floor, so if this is a corner and there could be an opportunity for husks to come from here, they would have to go through this, and they would still have to go through this. Of course, if they go down this tunnel, the reality is there'd be more wall there, so they'd still be in the same boat, where they still have to run through this, or they still have to run through that. And which stairs unfortunately can't do. You can't create this kind of structure with stairs that creates a block all the way around, which is again why I use the ramp instead of stairs. But at least for long, flat distances, either could work. The other thing too is that the basic stairs and the ramped pyramid like this have the same health value for the material that's used. So again, it's irrelevant which one you use. And then finally, I'll put a wall in the back, and I'll show you here just how to make this look a little nicer. The reality is the mobs, either way, the mobs have to break through this. So now I have put as many possible things within a single square that they would have to move through. I'd of course do the same thing on the opposite side, and again, like I showed before, this also makes it easy, and I can keep extending this back, but it makes it easy to get up on top of the kill tunnel, which is generally when it's on operation. I want to be up here, because if they do happen to notice me, then they're attracted towards the kill tunnel, and then they would just kind of move in and start grinding themselves to death. Alright, so here is a real quick example of doing a Ride the Lightning mission, and kind of how I ended up building it up. So, deposit the blue glow so you can see where they're going to spawn, and you'll see, so standing here, my mini-map is lit up, and it kind of shows west, north, and east, and you can see the spawns over there, so there's some on the hill, and then there's some interesting effects here. There's to the spot where the van is, there's one ramp here. There is like a ramp in the back, and you'll see one of the other guys built something weird over there, and then there's a ramp right here. So you'll notice I don't put anything around the van. There's no sense in wasting materials. The one that concerns me, and I'm not really sure, so I'm going to experiment here once we turn this thing on, because there's a couple spawns right back here, 1 and 2, and their shortest path is technically kind of back here. So I've built the deterrent sandwich there and upgraded it a little bit, not a ton. But my hope is that they'll actually just move forward to that ramp right there. So we'll have to see how that ends up working out. And then the other thing that I've done here is that, so when they come up this ramp, so I've built a few walls here, built the sandwich to encourage them to jump off the cliff there and then move into the kill tunnel. And along the other side over here, when they spawn and drop down, I've built a sandwich here to make sure that or to basically deter them from trying to come up the ramp and instead move along here and move into the tunnel. The other thing that you'll notice is the actual access to the van is completely open. Right? So this looks that there's no deterrent at all to move in towards here. Alright, let's go ahead and start this thing up. I don't know what these guys think they're doing.
Defend the van.
And let's see how this is working. So I'm going to move over here. Just take a quick look at these spawns. You can see on the mini-map it is working. So the mobs did spawn there, and they are moving up towards the ramp, so that part is working very well.
Getting reports that your fort has uninvited guests.
It does not look like it's working on the other side. I'm not too worried about the kill tunnel. They'll actually move in towards that. No big deal. This side over here is not quite working. There's something wrong here.
Move along, husks!
So, we can run an experiment here since we've got people. See mobs coming down. They're excited about joining my kill tunnel. Alright, so let's put a few more deterrents here. Let's see what happens if we increase the size of this wall. Put a wall in. Now, unfortunately, nobody's spawning. So I don't want to influence this. I'm gonna get back here. Okay, we've got a spawn. He is moving towards the wall. No, he's still staying interested. So this is an interesting test where he's just decided that he does not. There's not enough of a turn.
30 seconds to go! Hang in there!
So what if we upgrade these a little bit more?
Bonus challenge success! Good job, team! Not bad. I think we'll need a little more blue glow. Add blue glow and get ready to defend the van. Flip the switch when you're ready. Check your map for updated storm intel. Activate final launch sequence when you're ready. Defend the van. We've got a bonus in play.
Yeah, it looks like they just don't give a shit. So in order to do this, they would have to move. Alright, let's actually test another theory. Alright, so as we saw, this trap system worked over there, the spawn that was quite far over there, but for whatever reason it's not working over here. And I still haven't quite figured out why not. I ended up adding a lot of hit points to this area right here, and they're still just don't care. But in addition, we got a couple more spawns that were slightly to the south, and these guys are just beelining straight for this wall. What is confusing me too is that some of the mobs that are coming down from this hill over here are just moving straight along into the, well, look at that. Someone built some extra walls. Now, I don't think that that's what's causing it, because they were doing this before, but whatever. It's hard to test when it's a group of people doing work all together.